Hello and welcome everyone to Half a Clue Movie Review. I did not prepare a joke to open this episode, and I was trying to come up with one. Fuck you, my jokes are the best. I get emails every
I wrote
day.
one right here for you.
Emails every day.
I get emails every day saying, wow, you really opened that Half a Clue Movie Review episode well.
I know Conan wants you on his writing staff.
He does. He's made a couple offers, and I'm like, my heart is in this podcast. I'm sorry.
Well, he is a notorious prankster, so...
An even bigger joke, we gave Jason a movie choice this week. So what do you want to watch?
I chose Panic Room by David Fincher.
Panic!
Very exciting choice. I've been meaning to watch it for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's like the only Fincher movie aside from Alien 3 and Mank that I haven't seen. I haven't watched Alien 3 because I just hear everyone shit on it all the time.
It's okay. It's not as bad as everyone says.
I think so too.
I feel like at this rate, maybe I would even like it more than I expect. Just because
in comparison
of the
to
years
some
of,
Alien movies that have come out,
Yeah.
Like
it's
which one?
not that bad. I think it was just like panned when it came out because Alien and Aliens were so great.
Yeah.
Snow Prometheus, which I like. I don't care.
I fucking hate Prometheus.
It's a good movie.
I don't know. AVP, best alien movie.
Okay.
First one I watched. So
Yeah.
And I just don't give a fuck about watching Mank, to be honest.
I have not heard great things about it. So I'm like,
I haven't even heard of it. So
He made this
yeah.
movie for his deceased father, and you haven't heard great things about it? Wow. Like Jason, you know the story, right? What's the deal with Mank?
Oh, his dad wrote it.
And
So he made it.
Great
I
story.
saw it. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that's not my favorite Fincher film. I definitely like Panic Room more. So let's talk about that.
Anyways,
Okay.
why did you pick Panic Room, Jason?
Because I like it. I don't know.
Cool.
I thought it was a good... I wanted to talk about David Fincher because we haven't talked about him yet.
have we
And
not discussed one yet?
I don't think so.
I feel like
That's
he's come
wild.
up in conversation.
Yeah, but we've never
actually
like covered
movie.
a Fincher
Yeah,
film.
I know I've mentioned Zodiac several times because
Yeah.
that is one of my favorite Fincher
I was
films.
going to pick Zodiac.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I just think it's kind of... I don't think it's forgotten, but it's one of his films that people don't really talk about. And I think that's a shame because I think it's a really well-made, fun, very tense film. So, yeah, that's why I chose it.
Yeah, I think it is one of his more forgotten ones, I think. Or at least people kind of, like, I've told people about it. I'm like, yeah, like David Fincher, Panic Room. And then they're like, they didn't even know that Fincher directed it. Which
Yeah.
is like, wow, because it's a...
Because it doesn't feel...
What are you talking
Like, when
about?
you
This
think about
definitely has the Fincher feel to it.
Well, when you think of the title and the premise, it's not a
Yeah.
David
I
Fincher
guess if
style
you
of
haven't
film.
seen it,
Yeah.
then yeah. But no, once you see it, it definitely has his hallmarks.
There's
on
no
it.
serial killers in it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. Maybe Raul was a serial killer.
Yeah,
Hey, that
You
guy's
don't
killed
know.
before.
Yeah, he feels like a
Yeah,
serial
that's
killer.
true.
Speaking of which, one of our friends is going to be very mad at us because this is the first Fincher film we talked about and not his favorite Fincher film, The Killer.
Oh, yeah. That is a good
Yeah.
movie. I'd be down to talk about it one day.
That's one I haven't seen either.
I've seen it too many times.
Give us the history, Ron.
All right, so today we're discussing Panic Room, 2002, a thrilling suspense film directed by none other than David Fincher,
Oh, my God.
the Finch man himself. This was Fincher's follow-up to Fight Club, which was considered a box office flop at the time, with a 42% drop in revenue over its second weekend, which is wild to me because, I don't know, I guess nowadays it's Fight Club is just one of the most ubiquitous like films that people will
Yeah.
talk about, like almost too much, where it's like the point where
Yeah, it's. I said this off the podcast, and now I wish I saved it, but it's kind of got that Rick and Morty and American Psycho thing where you almost don't even want to talk about it, like about how much you like it, because it's been ruined by the general audience.
A toxic
Film
fan
bros.
base.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's just like a lot of people seem to miss the points.
Yeah, that's the problem with satire. Sometimes people don't get it.
Yeah.
and
And then
Wolf
people-
of Wall Street is probably in the same camp.
Where people are just like, I don't know, they like make it their personality, and it's like, whatever.
Did you watch the movie?
But anyway, of course, Fight Club has gone on, of course, to be one of arguably the biggest cult classic films of all time. Instead, Fincher opted for a simpler, more contained story. Gone were the sprawling sets, the 150 different locations, an ambitious narrative of Fight Club replaced by a single location and an intimate yet high-stakes thriller. This film features Jodie Foster in a standout role as a newly divorced woman who, along with her daughter, played by Kristen Stewart, finds herself trapped in a high-tech panic room while a group of intruders try to force their way in. And while the premise might sound simple, the streets,
The streets.
the making of this film was anything but. The production built a stunning 4-story home and street sets, requiring 110 craftsmen, 15 weeks to complete. It cost $6 million to construct and included a staggering 150 tons of steel, 500,000 linear feet of lumber, and the film itself was shot in sequence, which is a rarity in the world of filmmaking, especially in a thriller of this nature.
You kind of had to with this one, though, because that the set does shift so significantly over time, and they wanted to maintain continuity.
That's a huge thing with Fincher is continuity. He's a real sucker for that, and there's a whole, you could dive down like some like deep video essays where they break down like how far he's willing to go for that, and we'll talk about that a bit here. But anyway, so today we'll break down Fincher's meticulous attention to detail, his performance of Jodie Foster and Forrest Whitaker, and the unique technical challenges that came with filming Panic Room. So grab your popcorn, lock the doors, and join us as we explore the tension, craft, and psychological depth behind this unforgettable thriller.
Are they paying you to like get people to rent this on Amazon?
Yeah. I get a tiny commission.
Do we have one of those yet? Like the what do you call it? One of those codes so that we can put a link to Amazon and get
I'm
paid.
just saying, boner pill companies will do it.
Yeah.
We got the Rhino himself on here.
Yeah. All right, guys. So initial impressions.
It was my first time watching it, and I thought it was very good. It's interesting to note that this. I mean, I didn't look up the history. Perhaps I should have. Of like movies with this kind of plot, because I feel like there's a lot more today. I was thinking of Green Room. I was thinking of Armored, which is not a good movie. I was thinking of several movies where it's like, oh yeah, the main character is in some kind of violent conflict, and they get backed into a corner, into a room that the other characters cannot get into, and then a movie happens. Green Room's probably the best modern example of that. Have you guys seen Armored really quick?
I have not seen Armored.
It's bad. It stars people. I don't really remember. I know that Milo, Peter Petrelli from Heroes is in it.
That guy.
Anybody know his last name? It's
something like Greek, I think.
That guy, he's in it. And the plot of that movie is just like these. It's like this. It's actually kind of like just the bad version of this movie. It's some dudes who work at like an armored truck plan an inside heist to rob it. And then Milo, Peter Petrelli, is like a cop or something, and he gets involved. And then the main character locks him and Peter Petrelli into the truck while the bad guy or the other criminals try to get into it. So it's like the same exact thing.
Milo Ventimiglia. That's probably Italian. That sounds my bad. But anyway, yes. Oh, but Green Room, though, is, I think, a great modern example of a film like this. Another high-stakes thriller and everything.
And I really like Green Room.
Yeah, Green Room slaps.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
It's awesome.
I like that
I'll
director.
need to watch that sometime.
I forget his name, but he also did Blue Ruin and other things.
He has like his little color trilogy thing going on. I think it was most recent one came out like
a few months recently. Like within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Rebel Ridge, I think it was called. I've heard it was
I hear that's good. I want to watch it.
Miles?
So yeah, this is my first time watching this film as well, just like Blake. I had never heard of this film before. It surprises me for how much I like David Fincher as a director, how few of his films I actually either knew that he did or B have actually watched. Like for me,
he's been working for a long time.
It's surprising sometimes. You know what you find out his movies are. You know Fight Club, you know Zodiac, you know Seven, but then other than that, it's like that's. I know the Fincher aesthetic. I know it when I see it, but
he definitely does have like a look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
Very sterile, very clinical.
Yeah, and it was overall a very great looking movie. Sound design was excellent. Yeah.
This was not my first time watching it. I watched it like years, like around when it came out for the first time. my mom's like a big fan of like thrillers. So like late 90s, like, early 2000s thrillers. Like I think this is probably one of the best examples of those. And it's so I've seen it before. And it didn't like disappoint rewatching it. I liked it a lot still. It's great.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I'm the same. I saw it in theaters. My mom took me to see it. We were in Arizona visiting family, and I guess we had some downtime, so we went to the movies. And I remember my mom was really pissed because the woman at the ticket thing was like, "Are you their guardian or parent?" And my mom's like, "Yes." But which is a weird thing. I never had that happen before or since when I was a kid. Like, what a weirdo. But yeah, we went and saw it, and I loved it. I think I was like 10 at the time, and I watched it a few times, like in my teenage years, and hadn't really seen it. Or again, it kind of like faded into the background. Like I really hadn't thought about it in a while until we picked this up again, and I was like, you know what, Panic Room, I want to watch that again. So I figured, why not now? But yeah, great film.
All right, so you guys want to get into strengths and weaknesses?
There's a lot of strengths. I didn't really see any weaknesses.
I've got one weakness.
Of course.
And now, I don't know if other people will see this as a weakness, but when it came to the characters in the film, I really believe firmly that the only character that gets a decent amount of development and the only character that's really able to be connected with is Forrest Whitaker's character. Burnham. Yeah. He's the only character that really, it feels like he has a full character arc and feels like he's fully developed. Even when Jodie Foster is doing stuff, it doesn't seem like she's developing at all as a character. And the stuff that you learn about her doesn't really do anything outside of the core plot of the film. Whereas Burnham, you see him kind of see how far he will go. Right.
Yeah, and you understand his motivation.
Yeah. And you see that, hey, this is very much a morally gray character here. Right. He's doing this. He has a reason why he's participating in this. He doesn't like the guys, the overly violent people, and he just wants to make it out with the money that he needs in order to, it sounds like, save his kid. But
possibly.
Yeah.
We're not really sure.
It's kind of vague.
It's very vague. But he's definitely the best developed character. But that's the problem, is that he's the only character that I feel really gets enough development throughout the film.
I would say
I get that. But I think that's all the film needs. I don't think the film works without him or like that style of character, because then it's just, there's just really nothing to latch on to.
Then it's good versus evil, and there's no in between.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying. There really isn't a lot of development here.
No.
But I don't think there really needs to be.
And I
like,
don't think
Jodie Foster's motivation is very clear and cut. Like, save my child and don't die. Like, that's that. And for a film that's so simple, I think that simple motivation works, especially from our protagonist, and especially because we have Burnham, right? We see his motivation. He's like, I think he has issues with his wife, and like he's in a custody battle, and he just loves his kids, and he wants to raise his kids. You could relate to that. Anyone can.
Yeah.
And Jared Leto kind of has an arc, right? He's just like,
Jared Leto's just a dumbass the whole time.
Jared Leto's fucking hilarious in this movie.
He is.
This might be my favorite
He doesn't do
role
a
from
single
Jared Leto.
thing right. I mean, like, he
Yeah, he's an
definitely,
idiot. He's just like smoking meth and like,
I
I love that
like,
part.
oh, that's gonna fucking help.
I do love that part when they go downstairs and he's like, I don't know what to do, and he starts like lighting up or whatever, and then he's like, it's just, I know, but I do agree. I think for Burnham is the most interesting character for sure. He's the most compelling. Wise, like you said, he's the kind of the bridge between both opposing sides. So I think he functions really well as that. Like Forrest Whitaker really crushes it too. Is like, it's like he's constantly kind of pushing his line where he's like, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to do this, but he does. And I think, like, to get into light spoilers here, but I think the moment when he like grabs a propane tank, really showed like, oh shit, like he's going further.
He's
than
all in. Yeah, he's going way further than like
he probably
thought.
Yeah.
I think, because I agree. I mean, damn it, Jason, you took everything I was going to say. I almost don't want more development from the other characters. It's very simple, and it works because it's very simple.
But my problem was I just had trouble caring about the main characters because there was nothing really to latch onto, right?
I think it's just that I mean, just the fact that it's
a mother and a daughter.
These two women are like fucking being attacked. Like, I don't know.
I'm sorry, David Fincher couldn't make you care about a woman.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm kidding.
It's
simple, and yes, Forrest Whitaker. By the way, this might
it's a
be
terrifying
like my
concept in
favorite
my opinion.
role from Forrest Whitaker. He's fucking awesome.
No, he's so fucking good.
What do you mean?
Dude.
What about Saw Gerrera and Rogue One?
He just dies because he doesn't want to walk up a ramp.
I know, it's so fucking stupid. Anyway.
Forrest Whitaker is that complex character. Everyone else is pretty, just doing their thing, and I think that works. They're all moving parts. This movie is, it's like how the safe swings open and close. This movie is just a bunch of mechanical parts moving and flowing, and people do things. It's a very simple thriller, and I liked it for that.
That's one thing, because I want to get into like the visual and like cinematic style of Fincher.
If we're gonna get into visuals, I did want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Well, yes, of course, it has that clinical David Fincher style, but I think the thing that I liked the most was this movie could have been a clusterfuck visually, but it's not, and you always kind of have an idea of like where everything is in this 4-story house, which is what makes it work so well. Because I'm just imagining this without the strong visuals, and I'd just be like, I think my head would hurt, and I'd be confused.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, again, a premise like this, like we were saying, it's been done many times before, or at least this type of like thriller where there's like that cat and mouse aspect to it. But Fincher's like extremely precise and like meticulous style and camera work and everything is what really helps it tie together and flow. Because I don't know how many times I've watched like an action movie or something where like there's a sequence going on and I just kind of like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Like, what's happening?
Taken 3.
Yeah.
Explosions look cool.
Yeah, and it's just like there's a bunch of shit happening.
Way too many cuts. And Fincher cuts a lot in this movie, but like it's intentional and it works.
It's so
sometimes,
big, but
like,
there's precise.
There's a difference between the types of cuts that he uses and the types of cuts that are used in other films, right? Because a lot of other films, it feels like they took a bunch of B-roll of an action sequence, then they kind of just pasted it all together with a bunch of cuts in between to hide wires, basically. Well, it feels like it was very deliberate what the cuts were going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were watching a whole thing where they're breaking down like the timing it took for like any specific action sequence, and it was like, I think it was like 90 something cuts in like a 2-minute sequence, and normally that would be nauseating. Yeah, like that's horrible. Like people have made fun of like again that one scene from like Taken 3.
He jumps over the fence.
And like 17 cuts of him jumping.
It's ridiculous. But this is like there's no fluff or filler cut. It's like you said, it's not like hiding anything. It's showing you everything, which is wild. And like again, it really goes to show the testament to like Fincher and his crew and everything of how well they thought this all out and how important it is to have like those establishing shots. And it's more than just being like cool, like when he's like moving through objects and shit. It just completely lays out everything for you so that you can understand how everything, where how far everything is from each other, how everything is kind of working in tandem. And yeah, it's great. And also it's just like gives it such a haunting kind of feel,
Yeah. The beginning of this film reminded me of Don't Breathe, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of there's just a lot of like just the camera moving around the house, letting you see where everything is, setting everything up, like things that are gonna come into play later. And I think Don't Breathe was heavily inspired by that because that movie does it really
Oh,
well
yeah.
as well.
Is that the one with the little girl and the blind old man?
That's Don't Breathe 2, and
Yeah.
that
movie sucks.
movie fucking
Yeah, it was
blows.
awful.
Yeah.
I was
But
wondering.
I like the first Don't Breathe. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I'm also a fan of
Overrated,
the
but-
first one.
I never saw the first one, so
The first one is actually, again, it's a super simple premise. They're breaking
they're
into
similar
a house.
movies.
Yeah, and this one, and that one, if anything, it's the perspective of just the burglars, really. And it's like, imagine if Jodie Foster was a fucking like crazy killer. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh crap! Like now suddenly it's like, flipped in the stakes. Like you're no longer like, it's like, they're trapped in the house with a crazy killer, which is I think a really cool way to flip it. But for this one though, I think again his visual style and everything is so great. Even down to like the use of like the rain and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just atmospheric, even though it definitely is. Like, but it also helps lend to the idea that like people can't hear you from outside and
yeah,
everything.
it confines the space.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, where it makes it so that this building is cut off, right?
Yeah.
Like you really get that feeling. If it was daytime and there was sun shining, you wouldn't have felt that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact too, I think it's important that it's like this takes place on like a busy like street in New York City, It's like I think usually when they do a thing like this, even like Don't Breathe, they're like in an abandoned like shitty house in like the middle of nowhere, or Barbarian or other movies like that where it's like the same thing where it's like you isolate the person. This one, they're not really isolated, but they are, and they're trapped in their own home, It's pretty wild. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I love like the second you enter the house, you don't leave. Like they're outside for maybe 5 minutes in the beginning, and then they leave right at the end with Forrest Whitaker. But like the second they enter the house, you are trapped in there along with them for like an hour and 40 minutes. Like, and it really feels like you are trapped in there with them. I really love the just the overall feel of this movie. I was taken aback by like, oh man, like I remember this has a very specific feel to it. It's very vibey in interesting way that.
Yeah.
Horrifying but comfy.
Yeah, it kind of is
Right?
comfy.
That's like in
Yeah.
a way, it's like, all right, we're interested in a $1 billion mansion with the rain outside while Jared Leto's smoking meth and trying to kill me. Okay.
There's even like a thing about how Fincher wanted a specific type of rain. He didn't want it to just be like, big regular kind of rain, because there's something kind of romantic, almost like comfy about like, like when there's like big fat raindrops. He wanted like a very fine like mist and like kind of a whirlwind like kind of feeling outside that kind of gives it like a more atmosphere, a certain kind of like little stingy rain. You know what I mean? It's like it's a very specific. I think they said something like San Francisco Bay kind of like atmosphere, which is interesting.
It weirdly, if we're talking just atmosphere, not what it's actually for, it kind of reminded me weirdly of The Hateful Eight, how it's like constantly snowing and windy outside.
Oh, yeah.
Just that constant reminder of, in the movie, in Panic Room's case, it's the fact that their neighbors can't fucking hear them screaming and shit. And in The Hateful Eight, it's like nobody can go outside, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just reminded me of it both in how it's used and how good it was.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's great
think that
use of an environment.
the rain also did that where it's like, hey, nobody can go outside. I think that it added to the amount of being trapped in there.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, you get outside, then what?
Yeah.
You got no shoes, you're running through the streets in your
I
pajamas
mean, I think
in
if
the
they
rain.
got outside, they would have figured it out. But
But at the same time, it's like it makes it less of a strong option.
fucking neighbor that shuts his blinds.
Yeah, which that the guy who does that, he's the guy who wrote Seven. Apparently,
Oh.
interesting. So yeah, we could talk about like the pacing and the structure, which we've already kind of mentioned a bit. Like the editing and everything is so precise and like intentional. It's great. But I think it does such a great job of like the first scene. It's very quick. You just set up, like they walk through the house. You kind of get the idea. They disclose what the panic room is. Simple enough. And then like within like, I don't know, at least 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes into the movie, it feels like the action is already kicking off. You see them trying to get in and everything. And it's like, boom. And then from then on, it's almost nonstop,
So important things about the beginning of that when they're showing the house, you get a lot of information about the situation that the family's in it right there, right? You're like, okay, she's moving here with her daughter without her husband. It's kind of weird. And then even the elevator. So the elevator, Kristen Stewart's character, what was her name again?
I don't remember.
Shit.
I'm blanking on that.
Kid.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, no, Sarah's
What's
riding
Jodie
the
Foster's name?
Shit.
Meg. It's Meg.
Meg.
Meg. Yeah. No, but Sarah's riding the elevator up and down, right? And like, so she's like figuring out how the elevator works and things like that. And then later, when they're first trying to go down, she tells her mom, no, you got to hit the emergency stop. Then you can go to a different floor.
Yeah.
So she figured that stuff out there. And that's just one example of like, they set up so many little things.
Yeah.
And it's like little things where you're like, oh, but why is that like part of this film? And then later it pays off. And I think that pretty much everything pays off.
Yeah. It's like Mouse Hunt.
I almost wish I wasn't so into movies and I could watch this and be like, oh, because like the cell phone, the elevator, the bed. Yeah, like there's a lot of establishing shots of shit, and you're just like, oh, I see you, Mr. Fincher.
Well, and even the thing where Meg hands her daughter the bottle of water from the mini fridge next to her bed.
Yeah.
That the diabetes kit is in later, so that she doesn't have to go all the way downstairs to the kitchen to go get it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're just pulling out that like out of their ass or anything, because it's just like, oh yeah, they kind of they
set that up,
a little bit, which is great. And then, but again, that adds that whole sequence just lends a lot more to like Forrest Whitaker's ambiguity and everything. It's terrifying. Like the idea of like her daughter is now trapped in there with these two men who she has no idea like what they're capable of. She already knows one dude is a freaking killer, but yeah, I just want to get a little bit into like the soundtrack, which is done by Howard Shore, which is awesome, really good. I think you can like, I didn't know that it was him either until I was rewatching stuff from it, and I was like, damn, I can actually kind of hear that like it reminds me of like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack a bit at times, or at least there's like pieces of it, which is great.
Yeah, the nice thing is that throughout the film, it does go somewhat unnoticed. Like, I don't feel like I'm being overwhelmed with music and sound.
That's David Fincher's like style.
Oh yeah,
he likes his soundtracks to be very ambient and be very
which is nice
mood setting.
Which I think goes into the sound design for this.
Yeah,
which is
Christopher
amazing.
Nolan should take some classes from David Fincher.
On audio, yes, definitely.
But yeah,
on everything,
the sound design on this one is again really freaking good. From the sound of like the tools, the gunshots, like the rain, the different like the sound inside the panic room itself. Like I feel like that there's that first moment when she steps in during the tour and the doors close and just shoom, and then you kind of hear the certain noises of it, and you see how uncomfortable she is as the camera just tracks on her, and she's like, close, can you open the door please? Which already just again establishing that she's not comfortable being in this room in like normal circumstances. How much worse is it, of course, when it's like shit's hitting the fan. Great.
Yeah, there's always like a hum going on. It feels like a Star Trek show. There's always just a hum when they're in the panic room.
Well, and I mean that's like the hum of the TVs, right? Because like I don't know, those old school CRTs, they always made that little humming sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fincher was talking about how ridiculously frustrating it was working with the TVs, because for each TV, each shot set up, every time you see that, they had to completely do those shot again and match them with what they're doing in like, the wides, which required completely different lighting, resetting of props. Like while they're like destroying their walls, they had to install different walls each time for every take, which is insane. Like, and yeah, he was like, don't do it. Like, don't do TVs like CRTVs.
And nowadays, this would have all just been done on a freaking green screen, and it would have been awful.
Well, I mean, it depends on the director and the movie. And
so I actually worked on a horror film, like a low budget one that used like a, what is it called? Like almost like how do you say, Paranormal Activity, where they had cameras all inside of a house that was filming different sequences. And yeah, that thing was such a pain to deal with, where we had to like reset things. We had to completely clear all of our equipment and move it in the spaces that weren't being recorded, and then match the action with what then we would record later with the actual cameras. and it was like it was a nightmare thing. And that was like today, and it was like, you know, we're not even doing anything that's even close to like, you know, this level of
That
like
wasn't as
sophistication.
complicated.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, okay. So we can talk into like Fincher's vision, which we already said is like very dark, tension-filled atmosphere, stuff like that. But how about performances? So Jodie Foster, what did you guys think of Jodie Foster
Great.
in this?
Yeah,
Okay,
she was
great.
amazing. Yeah. I think that physically, all the actors were just amazing, right? Because there was so much running around and so much precise movement, like trying to get from place to place.
Well, originally, Meg Altman was supposed to be played by Nicole Kidman, and they shot with her for a little
Interesting.
bit, but she couldn't do it because she had injured her knee on like a previous shoot or something, and because of how physically demanding it was, she had to bow out. So then they called up Jodie Foster, who stepped in like while they were shooting, and I think she like, but they said also completely changed the tone. Because like I like Nicole Kidman, I think she's a great actress, but like Jodie Foster, I think she really brought like it's like that kind of intensity, you know, like that very kind of like almost like feralness that she like it goes along. It's great.
Yeah, there's more of an edge to Jodie Foster than Nicole Kidman.
I don't know. Nicole Kidman can have an edge in certain movies for sure.
It's true.
I could see it working either way. Different, but I could see it working either way. I kind of want to see the alternate reality version now.
It would be interesting. She actually still had like a small bit where she calls and the woman that like her wife left her for, or her husband left her for.
Oh, that's Nicole Kidman?
Yeah, it's Nicole Kidman. But yeah, no,
Put
I
him
think
on the phone, bitch.
yeah. Say fuck. That's probably like my favorite line, like favorite joke. Yeah, and Forrest Whitaker, we already kind of were talking about him.
Yeah,
before.
best part of the movie, hands down.
He's great. I think his he works as a really complex antagonist, right? Like
You also never really know what's going to happen next with him,
yeah.
which is good.
I don't know.
Jared Leto as Junior.
Hilarious.
Yes, he is.
Can't go to
hilarious.
prison, man. I'm not built for that shit.
I think Jared Leto as Junior was a good role for Jared Leto. I think it worked because it was Jared Leto.
I think it might be my favorite role from Jared
Yeah.
Leto that I've
Just
seen.
a maniac.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, just absolutely insane. But he
He's
also
erratic.
he
But
gave
he's
off that
also
air
not, like,
of being.
I also didn't get the sense that he's that bad of a person either. I mean, he's a shitty person, but when you're standing next to Raul, he didn't want to hurt anybody either.
No,
you know?
he was
just
the
in
one
over his
that
head.
hired
He's just kind of a
Raul.
fucking idiot.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he was the one that hired Raul. He
Yeah,
didn't
but
care.
I don't think he knew the extent to which Raul was going to
Isn't
go.
is he not like connected?
Obviously,
with
'cause
organized
Raul kills
crime?
him.
That was the vibe I got. I thought he was like connected to like a
No,
crime
he's
family or
the
Yeah,
son.
I
no,
think he owed money.
no,
Yeah.
but he's the son of the guy who lived there before.
Oh,
What?
is he?
Really?
Yeah. No, that's why he knew where the bearer bonds were. That's why he had to split it with the other people. The other people that he was going to have to split the money with, right, are the other like people
you
who
sure
would be
about this?
inheriting. Yeah. No, that's why he could report it and he would get the money anyways, right, when he was talking about it. So he's a family member of the guy who used to live there. That's how he knew about, it went into escrow because the estate was selling it. So he was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be 15 days. But he was totally off about that because he's an idiot, right?
I thought he was like connected to organized crime.
No,
but was kind
no.
of like a loser.
He's like
or
the son
something.
or the grandson
I kinda got
of,
that.
of,
Jason's
of the old
looking up
man
the
that lived there
facts.
before, right? And they even
I don't know
mentioned
if I'm gonna
early,
find it.
and they even mentioned before earlier in the film, well, wouldn't you have a panic room too if your family was that messed up? Like this guy that lived here before, he had a family that was of ill repute.
Miles is making
Interesting.
Stuff up.
I'm not. I don't know. I can't.
I'm being
confirm or
straight up.
deny.
Okay, at least that's the read I got on the script, and
Either way, I think
Yeah.
he's a great character.
Yes,
I
he's
think
great.
His like I think their chemistry with with Dwight Yoakam, who plays Raul. I think they add such like
You're right. Sorry. It says, yeah, his grandfather hid the bearer bonds in the room.
Oh
So,
shit!
yeah.
dude.
yep.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
We're all idiots.
Great
Great
job, Jason.
observation, Jason.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Glad you're
Wow.
pointing out the plot.
Miles, pay attention next time.
Jesus.
Were you even watching the movie,
No, I wasn't. I was just hanging out with my cats the whole time.
Raul?
So I think Dwight Yoakam, again, as Raul, he adds like such like an air of like mystery and like menace.
He
where
had
it's-
stakes. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And actually, I really like the reveal of his face. Like when he takes the mask off, because, like he's talking like he's this cold-blooded killer the whole time.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks like a normal, like down on his luck kind of like.
He's like a regular guy. Like
Looks
basically.
like a
yeah.
slime ball. That's
Yeah,
what he
like
looks
little, but he doesn't like have that air of menace.
Yeah.
I don't
and
know.
think-
Towards the end, he starts to look like the devil.
Dude,
Kinda.
yeah, he reminds me of like Golem at the end.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But he's all
Yeah.
like
He's
sweaty
like,
and bruised and screaming.
I think it's I think it's very intentional too that like not long after he takes the mask off and his mystique is kind of shattered a bit, it's like when his hand gets like all mangled and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like right then and there he gets all like all his composure is gone. He's just like freaking out and everything. So it's like a lot of that idea, but at the same time it is kind of scarier because now you like this dude's got nothing to lose now. Like he's probably just gonna go even crazier, which he does. He is
Well,
bets it all just to kill this lady.
he even says the thing about same price for one as it is for three or something, like because he already killed
Junior.
Junior, right?
Yeah.
And he even makes a comment that it's like, we already killed somebody. It's not going to get worse killing two more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I fucking every time I watch this movie, I forget how early into the film Junior dies. Like I always like think of him as there for the majority of the film, but
He adds a lot
dies,
with his
like
presence.
halfway through. Yeah. He does add a lot, but I don't think the film falters once he's gone.
No.
I think it like just keeps
And
going.
I knew that was going to happen. That was maybe the most predictable element of this movie. Was I remember immediately I was like, oh, Rose totally going to fucking kill
Yeah.
Jared Leto.
And he was completely Junior was like trying to like worm them out of like what was it?
Millions of
Like
dollars.
millions, yeah. Like he was like, yeah, there's only I think he told them there was 4 million in there when really there was like 20
12 for-
22.
22 million. Insane. All right. So
Oh, what did you think of the dad when he
Why
came
is he
in?
so much older than Jodie Foster?
yeah, I thought that was funny too. I always thought the casting of him was weird because
Well, no.
he looks like he's like in his like late 60s.
He looks
or
like he's
something.
her like grandpa.
I think that's the point is that he was an old rich dude, and when he married Jodie Foster,
Yeah.
she was young and full of life. He was, an older sugar daddy basically, and now he's kind of tossed her to the side for a new younger woman,
I get that. Yeah.
right? That's the vibe I was getting out of that. Did anybody call the fact that they were going to do a body swap?
I did not know.
No, I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
No. The second,
You want an Arby's gift card?
all I'm saying is that no, they set it up. They telegraphed it really well. Like they even showed like the shoes, right?
His boots.
Yeah, because when the guy that was getting dragged down the stairs, who was supposed to be Raul, or at least that's who was implied to be, was wearing very nice, what do you call it? Like business shoes, like stuff
Yeah,
that
he's just-
Raul wouldn't be wearing. And I'm like, oh yeah, nope, I was right.
Raul, the bus driver.
Yeah.
That's not what he says. Raul, you're a bus driver.
Does he say that? Oh yeah.
I swear he says something
Yeah,
like
he
that.
does.
No,
Yeah.
because he does. Yeah.
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 He's like, oh, you think you know me? It's great. Okay, I don't know. Any last touchstones you think you guys want to touch on in this?
I'm
wrap
ready
up?
to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one went kind of quick. I feel like
It's a really simple movie.
there weren't a lot of
Yeah.
complaints, and yeah, it is a simple movie, but it was super complexly shot. You know,
Yes.
like what Ron said, there were sequences where there were hundreds of shots in the span of just like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and with a lot of different camera setups, just all over the place. It was very quick paced when things were moving around.
It's funny you brought up really quick. I just had a thought. You brought up how Christopher Nolan could learn from David Fincher. This is what Nolan needs to do. He just needs to make like a simple movie about
Yeah.
like a woman in a fucking vault. Like, just simplify.
Yeah, I think sometimes like directors when they take a step back and they kind of like go back to just like a basic idea of filmmaking, or like, you know, a more simple premise, like you said.
What was Fincher's next movie?
Zodiac.
Oh, cool.
He moved on to Zodiac. So it's like, and I think he still did, because he had been doing like music videos and like ads for like since like the 80s. And he still did some, I think a couple, even before he did Zodiac, like in between, he just kept doing shit like that. But yeah, it's just, we were talking before earlier how it's like, even when Fincher is doing something like this, which should be a very simple, like basic premise, he still does it as like complex as possible.
Yeah. But it also doesn't feel complex as you're watching it.
No. And that's the artistry behind it, right?
Everything's so like, it feels so
Very
streamlined and fluid, but like,
I think it's because it's so deliberate.
yeah,
Yes.
whenever you like look into the way he makes his films, it's just like, man, this is fucking complicated.
Like he's like like I've always said, he's like a heart surgeon, but he makes movies.
Yeah.
He's very, very, very precise.
It's like I think difference between someone like Michael Bay, where it's like he wants you to see how complicated what he's doing is, you know, where he's like, we're doing we're gonna have this parallax shot and exploding in sparks and all these technical effects happening in the background and a car's flipping over, and it's like, that's good job, man. Like that's very loud, and that, to be fair, that's his style. That's what he wants to do, but.
That's why I don't watch Michael Bay features
He
anymore.
also created the Got Milk advertisement.
Really?
Michael Bay, really?
I'm like 99% sure. Yeah, he won an award for it.
Let's fact check that. Let's
Yeah.
They have awards for commercials. That's
But
the
okay,
thing.
well, let's do wrap up discussions.
I'll start. Or Miles, you go.
Oh, question just for you guys. Where does this rank in terms of Fincher films for you guys?
It's one of my least favorites, but it's still very good. That doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it's like, again, in a guy who's got like such a well category. What am I trying to say? Catalog. Films.
Category log.
Yeah, of like movies. Yeah, I'd say this is probably one of his lesser ones, but
I'd say it's in the middle for me.
Same.
I
It's
can't- I don't
right
know
above
if-
The Killer.
I haven't seen
yeah.
The Killer, so I don't know. You know, I'd put like Mindhunter and like, you know,
That doesn't count. It's not a
House of
movie.
Cards. I don't know. I just want to say really quick, just like side note, that like Netflix should have just kept Fincher no matter what. Like they should have just gave him Mindhunter. Like I don't care if it's expensive and
I've heard
complicated
that's
to do.
partly on him. Like he doesn't really. He got kind of bored
I get, but I think
because he
it's-
still works for Netflix. I mean, The Killer, Mank.
yeah,
Those
but,
are all
like,
Netflix productions.
I know, but like he wanted to continue making the show. I believe he said that, but like they didn't want to do the productions anymore because they were like so expensive and stuff, and they just didn't think they're getting enough return. But it's like this dude practically built Netflix. Like before House of Cards, Netflix was just like it was like a B tier like movie rental service, and then he shows up and legitimizes them, and then it's like, you know, come on, just whatever. That's
Yeah.
my mini rant.
I agree.
Anyway, this is a great movie. I think it's executed very well. It's like it feels like the best version of those like early 2000 like thrillers, and I think it still holds
And there
up
are a
as-
lot of them.
Yeah, to like many thrillers today. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I almost wanted to say this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but it's not. I really like this movie. This is like the best like grandpa core movie like ever made. Like this feels like a movie you go to your grandparents' house and your grandpa's got his chair. This feels like something he'd be watching.
Yeah.
But it's very good. It's very, very good. That's not a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, this
His
is a
next
good
movie-
cable movie, I
Yes,
think.
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. It's like probably one of the only Fincher movies you can put on for like a boomer generation or something, right? It's you're not going to be like, all right, now girl with the dragon tattoo. Like, this is probably the one.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Just kidding. I'm a liar. I should watch that.
It's
You seen The
it's
Game?
extremely-
Yes,
very intense.
I like the. I
I've
like
not
the
seen-
game. I think I might like this more than
I like
the
this
game.
more than a game.
I've not
I'd
seen
have to
The Game.
rewatch it. It's been a while.
Yeah. Miles or Jason, sorry. Final thoughts or anything?
Oh, yeah. It's just a good movie. It is kind of hard to like pull an hour-long podcast out of it because it is just so simple. But I think simplicity is good, especially for a film like this. It's quick, to the point, It's very tight. It actually is longer than I thought it was. It's an hour and 52 minutes. I thought it was like a tight, like 90 minutes, but there's more to it. But it doesn't feel like 2 hours. It feels like 90 minutes. Yeah, no, I just really enjoy it. I'm happy I got to rewatch it, and yeah.
I think that's because even when things are like slowed down, there's still stuff going on the whole time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, there's always something happening in this movie.
Yeah, even when there's like a moment, a silence, they're trying to figure out how to like get out of here. The other guys are like scheming or arguing about something.
Well, and like
there's
the
a lot of back and
flashlights,
forth.
the flashlight sequence where they were just working on the flashlight, trying to use that to communicate. Like that lasted like what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? You know, when
45 minutes.
No, when
That's
they're
half the movie.
no, I mean when they're setting up the gas, right, the propane to blow up the room, like that's a surprisingly long sequence of time from when he first sets down the propane canister to the time when like they finally get through the wall, get it all hooked up, and then you have your big explosion.
Yeah.
Very, very well paced.
Yes. Yeah.
Blake, did you say your final
I
thoughts?
said my final thoughts.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It's just so forgettable.
Watch
I
it.
guess.
Called it a boomer core movie.
It is kind of. It feels like one. It's very
S tier
good.
boomer core.
I do like
It
that.
is S tier boomer core.
I
Can we
do
just
like that
patent Can we
description.
patent
Yeah.
boomer core?
Yeah, I'd
I
also
like
put
Grandpa core better, but it's just me.
fine Grandpa core. I'd put Master and Commander in there too as well.
That's like
That's a Grandpa Core movie.
Yeah.
Um,
except for it's bad.
This movie made me want to watch The Fugitive. I don't know
oh
why.
yeah.
Okay.
I've
That's
never
like,
seen that.
dude. Okay,
Fugitive
that's,
is great.
The
Harrison
Fugitive.
Ford, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's like another one.
Tommy Lee
Is
Jones.
that the one where he's a doctor?
Yes.
I didn't kill my wife.
I
read
don't care.
he's a doctor, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's falsely accused of murdering his wife.
I read a book.
You read a book?
Yeah, believe it or not.
You can read?
Wow.
Believe it or not. I'm working on my third
This is
grade
called
level.
Clifford the Big Red Dog.
And it's just, when I was watching this, I was like, this has got a lot of Clifford vibes. No, I was reading a book, an autobiography by a doctor or something. I don't know. This is a while ago. And he was the doctor that that showed up on set and would like tell people, no, a doctor wouldn't do that.
Ah.
And that's not what the book was about. That was actually just like a chapter in it. It was mostly about, doctor stuff. But yeah, he talked about it. Yeah, I got hired on to tell Harrison Ford how to act like a doctor.
Who knew Clifford was a dog at one point?
Interesting. Okay.
A lot of Clifford vibes.
Okay, so yeah, now it's
I guess.
Any guys watching stuff?
I don't watch shit, dude.
Really? Oh, duh. Well, you're going through some big stuff right
Yeah.
now, so you've been very busy.
Yeah.
I finished watching The Penguin. That
Oh,
was
so did I.
Oh,
Yeah, actually.
how did it end up being? Because I haven't watched anymore since we were watching it.
Honestly, I felt like I was liking it more and more as it like developed. There was like a couple parts where I was like, this feels maybe a little too like hammy, like a little too corny. But overall, though, I think it was really good, and I think the ending was also just unsettling.
Yeah.
and
fucked
but,
up.
but it was good though. Like it felt like very appropriate, and it didn't feel like, again, like they pulled anything out of their ass. I was like, yeah, no, I could see like this feels like a good jumping off point from, I don't know, moving forward. I'm very excited to see where it leads into like either the Batman movies or if they do a season 2. I don't know, but yeah, it's I liked it though.
Oh man, they really made him just the biggest asshole in the world.
Yeah.
Like it, I don't want to call it a flaw because it is a show about a villain, but by the end I was just like, man, someone kill this fucking guy.
But I like that though, because
I like it too, but like it's just like, I don't know. I like my protagonists to not be the worst people on the planet.
You
But,
love
like,
Breaking Bad.
I mean, yeah, but I think that's one of the things I was concerned whenever, because when they've done like this is a villain's movie or whatever, they try to make them like an anti-hero.
Yeah,
or they
yeah,
try
yeah.
to deconstruct like, oh, this is why they're bad or whatever. But it's like with him, it's like, no, he's a piece of shit. It's very possible that he was born that way and he just became worse and worse. And it's just like Gotham, this environment, whatever, was like the worst case scenario for a person like him. And it like, yeah, and by the end, it's like you see him and it's like, that's that's a villain. That's a super villain. He
It's-
succeeds at being like the worst person in a movie about or a show about terrible people.
he just wants to be the mobster king of Gotham.
Yeah, and it's like I also like how they. I don't want to give away too much, but like they they do deconstruct his little like philosophy, his dream or whatever. It's like they break it down to just I don't know to show what it really is. I don't know. It's a great show though. I really liked it.
It's probably my favorite portrayal of Gotham, probably just because we spend so much time in there. At least like live action Gotham, and. This is a minor spoiler, but there's one episode in Arkham, and that is like my fucking favorite episode. It's so good. I recommend it. I say watch it.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
You guys watch anything?
I've been watching. So I rewatched some Scrubs.
Hey.
A couple episodes of that, and then I've been kind of getting back into a rewatch for Stargate SG-1. So. Got 10 seasons of that, so it should last me a while. And then 7 seasons of other shows that are associated with that one.
Nice.
So,
nice.
yeah, it should be fun. And they're like real seasons, like 24 episode, like real seasons.
Like classic syndicated TV kind of.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like where it ran for 6 months instead of like a week, and then it's like, oh yeah, we'll show you more shows in 2 years after a month of broadcasting.
Yeah. It's Scrubs like is one of those comfort shows for me too, where I'm just like I can just jump back into it. I remember like watching it like late at night because like we didn't have Comedy Central, like or not Comedy Central, or like whatever. Like I would watch like the rerun episodes, like like on Channel 9 or something. But yeah.
Honestly, that's one of the shows that goes through the entire range of emotions. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You have so many just like emotional character arcs, and throughout that entire show, it's amazing. Like, you've got a bunch of stuff dealing with like death, and hey, how do you deal with loss? And I think that it actually deals with the concept of like death of a loved one better than any other show that I've seen.
It's definitely, yeah, I think, yeah, it goes kind of, I love how it shows basically like how you would imagine that as a doctor or somebody who deals with like, again, all of the tragedy of it, where it goes from them being like almost numb to it to a point where they're like almost joking about it. So when it actually does hit, and it hits really hard because it's like they're still people, and it's like, it still like freaking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Blakey?
I already said I haven't watched shit.
Oh, okay.
So for our next episode,
That's you, Miles, right?
Yep.
What do you want to watch?
So I'm going to be doing the film that made me start to respect Bo Burnham as an auteur, and that movie is 8th Grade.
Love that movie. Excited.
Yes.
it's great.
I have not seen it. Cool.
It's a good movie. I own it on the Blu-ray disc.
Same here.
Oh, really quick.
Which, by the way, don't buy that movie on the Blu-ray disc. It has the flimsiest Blu-ray case of all time. I'm sorry. I just need to put that complaint out there. I love my Blu-rays, but it has an awful Blu-ray cover or Blu-ray case. Yeah.
Ron wants me to highlight that we're almost at 200 subscribers. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it'd be awesome if we could hit 200. Like, that'd be awesome at some point this year, I think.
Raking in the big bucks.
Yeah, for real. No, but really, it means a lot. You guys
Watch
are
out, Mr. Beast.
We're coming for you.
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, think so.
We're going for
Dr. Beast.
0.1% of your revenue, Mr. Beast. Yeah.
But no, for real though, it means a lot. I think that you guys have been like, subscribing and stuff and listening, and even though our past couple episodes have been doing amazing, but that's all right. But like,
Who
it's,
knew the Shaggy DA wouldn't rake them in?
I am shocked. I really thought that movie would be gangbusters.
I mean,
but-
to be fair, Mouse Hunt did really well, and that's, I mean, it's much better than the Shaggy DA, of course.
yeah.
No, the Shaggy DA, I think it just needs to get some traction and a cult following.
Yeah, absolutely.
People
will
will
it be
come
the
back.
next Fight Club? Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe,
It's only been around for like 60 years.
yeah, maybe film cultists in the future will be like, God, I'm so sick of people always talking about the Shaggy DA. But,
We'll be the
hey,
originators.
yeah, we're one of the first. All right. Well, thank you guys.
we're taking next week off also. So once again, we will be back in 2 weeks. I believe from there we should be back on track to the normal once a week schedule, but we will update you accordingly.
That is the plan.
I believe that's it. I don't think anybody else has anything to say. Does anybody?
No.
Jason?
No.
You have anything?
No.
For us, I mean?
No.
The show?
No.
Okay. We watch 8th Grade. It's good. I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah. Great film.
Good night. Happy Halloween.
Good
See you in
night.
2 weeks.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.